Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Blue Heron Hill, and welcome back to Tips on Tuesday. I'm out here in my main garden. This is just the gate in. Over here, I don't know if you see that. I have a gorgeous black-eyed Susan vine trying to climb up here. I have one on that side, and I have one over here. Now, I'm not so impressed with their climbing ability. I do have to keep weaving them around and stopping them from spreading along the ground. But my hopes was to have them all trellised over here and just be a gorgeous, welcoming addition into this part of the garden. It's getting there. We are only July, and I am sure that it's going to do its best to climb on up. But what we're going to talk about today is making space in our garden. Vertical gardening, for sure. I am a big proponent of vertical gardening. I don't have a lot of square feet of gardening area, so anything that I can plant that I can do vertically helps get more dense planting into my garden. I'm also a very compact planter. I squish in things as much as I can. My tomatoes are planted almost 12 inches apart, 12 to 15 inches apart. And of course my beans up on the trellis. My beets are planted very close together, usually three in almost like a 4 square inch thing, and then you pull one out and it gives more room for the others to grow. Anyway, I tuck things in wherever I can. So that's what we're doing today. We are applying this method to in this case, my summer squash. Squash plants want to vine all over the place, but if you can see this little corner here, I don't have that much room. And I have a pathway that comes here next to my tomatoes, and I certainly don't want that squash plant vining all over that pathway, because then I can't get to my tomatoes. So we're going to, and I pounded in a bamboo pole here, we are going to grow this squash vertically. So I start out, and I've already started to taking off some of the bottom leaves. Oftentimes I do this after it really gets viney and kind of out of control and in the way. But this time I decided to do it just a wee bit earlier. I also have this trellis here that I thought maybe I would put one of these, I have 3 plants here, one of these 3 on this trellis and have it grow up this trellis alongside my black-eyed Susan vine. So what I do here is I start off by cutting some of the lower leaves off. A lot of them are in a stage like this, yellowing. These are some of the initial leaves that the plant put out. It's not going to use this for anything, and a lot of these are not adding too much to the production of the plant. I have my handy dandy roll of Velcro tape here, and I will cut off. And so even though this is not too far off the ground yet, I am going to, as best I can, tie it up to, you can see that, best you can tie. I have 2 squash that are growing right here. I probably can get the first tie around underneath that. Okay, so that's a start. I'm going to have to revisit this, look at this all the time, and as it grows up further and further, I will reposition the tie up and up and up. This way, an added benefit is to keep it off the ground and keep it away from any kind of disease in the soil. Here's another one of those black-eyed Susan vines. It doesn't want to drain itself very well. I have to give it an extra hand. There we go. Okay, so that's one. Now I have two more back here, and I'm going to put one on this bamboo pole. I'm going to have to find another pole for that one. I usually do plant my squash in hills of 2 or 3, and usually, oftentimes, one of them doesn't make it, or 2 of them don't make it, and I'm just left with one. This time, all 3 seem to be doing very well in this location. So let me get this one tied up here. I gotta cut a few more of these lower leaves off that I'm not going to need. And we're going to tie it up onto this bamboo stake. Okay. I do find that when you do this method, I like using these, but what works better is something like pantyhose or something like that. It gives more cushion to the plant. There we go. Now, it looks a little lopsided, but over the course of the next day or two, all of these leaves will reacclimate themselves. This is the south side of my garden, so these leaves and the plant will bend in this direction. That's a natural with all plants. It's called geotropism, when the plant grows up and the roots go down. And this is phototropism, when the leaves of the plant will grow towards the sunlight in the optimal position for the plant. And so that's what happens with this. And so these 2 that I have, as they grow up, you'll see, here's my one tie off. And as it grows, I'll be able to tie it off, and maybe it'll get to be about this height. And it'll keep the fruit off of the ground. It'll keep the leaves off of the ground. And as as your fruit develops, you can cut more and more leaves off of the ground as they look a little bit have more yellow on them, like this guy. I'll cut him off. I don't see any more that I can really cut off yet. Color-wise is always a very good indication. So vertical gardening, it's a plus for everybody. Plus for the gardener with a small amount of space, and a plus for the plants. Gets these plants up off the ground, gives it lots of airflow around the plant. I even have a couple yellow squash that were lying on the ground. This way, they're up and hanging off of the vine and not being exposed to little critters that want to come and munch on those. Eventually, these will grow all the way up my stalks, probably, maybe 3 feet or so. Begin to look like palm trees or something. But try this method if you are short on space, or that squash plant is getting out of hand and taking up too much space in your garden. So thanks for following me. If you like the content of this, please pass it along. Give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. So we will have more tips on Tuesday, and I hope I see you then. So until the next time that we can go digging in the dirt, happy gardening. Bye.